Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're tackling something absolutely fundamental: water. It sustains life, drives economies, holds societies together, really. But sharing it, well, that can get incredibly complex. It often leads to some really intense disagreements. Think about this. What happens when one state, maybe feeling the pinch, sees this huge amount of water just flowing away, seemingly wasted, and decides we need to use that? That exact scenario is playing out right now. It's not hypothetical at all. And that tension, that specific situation, is what we're digging into today. We're taking a close look at a major water dispute involving the Godavari River in India, specifically a huge project planned by Andhra Pradesh.
That's right. Our job today is to sort of untangle this really ambitious plan. It's called the Polavaram-Banakacherla Link Project. We'll explore why it's causing such friction, especially with neighboring Telangana, and crucially understand the role of the Central Water Commission, the CWC, which is trying to, well, referee the whole thing. We'll look at the staggering costs, the arguments from both sides, and, what might happen next.
Yeah, stick with us. We'll guide you through the facts, give you some surprising context, and hopefully make sense of this really critical regional issue pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And just to bring you right up to speed, there was a key development very recently. On July 5th, 2025, the CWC formally requested a whole load of data. Things are definitely moving. Okay, so to really get a handle on this, you need to picture the Godavari River. It's immense. A lifeline for sure, but also now, well, a point of conflict. Every year, something like nearly 2,000 tmc-ft of its water just flows straight into the sea.
2,000 tmc-ft. It's hard to even visualize that much water. It's a colossal amount. Think about it. That could supply a massive city for, well, over a year, easily.
Right, an enormous seasonal flow, mostly untapped during the floods. And that abundance is precisely what Andhra Pradesh is targeting with their big idea, the Polavaram-Banakacherla Link Project. This isn't just some small channel. The plan is to divert a huge chunk of that floodwater, 200 tmc-ft.
Yeah, 200 tmc-ft. And the engineering required is massive, the estimated cost. Around Rs 81,900 crore. That's a phenomenal amount of money.
So, why such a huge push? Well, Andhra Pradesh's perspective is tied to its geography. They're the tail-end state downstream. They argue they urgently need this water they see is currently just being wasted for vital things like irrigation before it hits the ocean. It makes sense from their viewpoint, seeing a resource go unused when they have needs.
And technically, it's quite something. To divert that much water, they need a huge canal, 510 cumecs. A cubic is a cubic meter per second. So imagine that canal filling an Olympic pool in about 5 seconds. Just incredible flow.
Wow.
And to move the full 200 tmc-ft, that canal has to run flat out 247 for 129 days straight. And it's not a standalone thing either. It connects to their other water management efforts like the old Sir Arthur Cotton Barrage and the ongoing Polavaram project itself. It's part of a much bigger long-term strategy for them.
Okay, let's unpack this a bit, because whenever you have a massive plan involving a shared resource like a river, there's usually got to be a referee involved, right?
Sure.
To hit the rules.
Yeah.
Exactly. And in this complex water sharing game, that referee is the Central Water Commission, the CWC. They're the impartial body. Their job is to make sure everything's fair, technically sound, and, crucially, that it follows the established rules for interstate rivers.
And that brings us to that July 5th, 2025 request. The CWC didn't just ask for a few details. They asked for a lot. It wasn't just about this one link project. They wanted the key features of all water projects in Andhra Pradesh. Everything.
Everything. Like projects already built, ones under construction, even planned ones.
Yeah, approved, unapproved, under construction, completed the whole picture. They need the planned water use for each, dependability figures basically, how reliable the water supply is, and even a map showing where everything is or is proposed to be.
That sounds incredibly thorough, like they really want the full context.
Absolutely. They're going deep. And the main reason, the absolute core reason, is to make sure this Polavaram-Banakacherla project lines up perfectly with the Godavari Water Disputes Tribunal Award, the GWDT Award.
Ah, the GWDT Award. That's the key legal document setting out how the water should be shared between all the states in the basin, right?
Exactly. Maharashtra, Chhattisgarh, Odisha, Telangana, and Andhra Pradesh. It lays down the law, so to speak. The CWC is laser-focused on that 200 tmc-ft diversion plan. They've specifically asked for a simulation study.
A simulation to kind of Model it.
Precisely. To model it and rigorously check if diverting that much floodwater actually fits within the GWDT Award's rules. They're also checking it against a 75% dependability standard from the 2010 guidelines. Basically, the project needs to be able to deliver that water reliably, even in drier years, at least 3 out of 4 years.
Okay, so it needs to be robust.
Very. And get this, the CWC actually pointed out that an Excel sheet Andhra Pradesh sent over, it was missing the formulas and calculations.
Oh, so just the numbers, but not how they got them.
Exactly, which means the CWC couldn't independently check Andhra Pradesh's basic data on water availability and use. It's like submitting homework without showing your work. A pretty significant issue. They've asked for a revised version.
Oh, okay, so the CWC is really scrutinizing this. But here's where it gets really interesting. Because not everyone is thrilled about Andhra Pradesh's grand plans. As you might expect, these big plans haven't gone down well everywhere. Telangana, their upstream neighbor, has raised some serious objections. They're definitely not happy.
No, not at all. Telangana's worries are very practical. They're concerned that if Andhra Pradesh takes this huge chunk of water, 200 tmc-ft, it could directly reduce the amount available for their own needs. Farming, cities, industry. They fundamentally argue that the project violates that same GWDT award the CWC is focused on.
So they're saying it breaks the existing rule.
That's their claim. And crucially, they also argue there hasn't been a proper independent check on how much floodwater is actually available. This water Andhra Pradesh calls surplus or wasted.
So is it really spare water? That's the question.
Exactly. It gets to the heart of these disputes. What one side sees as waste, another might see as necessary flow or even water they have a claim on now or in the future. It's about defining use and rights.
And it's not just Telangana raising red flags, is it? There was a major environmental issue, too.
A huge one. On June 30th, 2025, the Expert Appraisal Committee, the EAC, under the Central Environment Ministry, flat out rejected the project's environmental clearance.
Rejected it entirely. That sounds serious.
It is. It wasn't just a request for more info, it was a rejection. The EAC cited unresolved legal issues, environmental concerns, and these very interstate problems we're discussing. While the specifics of every environmental point aren't detailed in what we've seen, these kinds of rejections usually involve big worries, impacts on ecosystems, wildlife, maybe people being displaced, downstream water quality. It signals really deep problems with the project as proposed.
Okay, so significant opposition from Telangana and a major environmental block. Yet Andhra Pradesh is pushing ahead.
They are. They're sticking to their argument. They're only taking water that would otherwise flow into the sea, and as the tail end state, they have a right and a need. They're busy gathering all that data the CWC asked for, trying to prove their case. They seem confident they can justify it legally and technically. But this whole situation really highlights the inherent difficulties in sharing rivers between states. It happens everywhere, not just India. These conflicts touch on resource needs, economic dreams, people's livelihoods, and they can seriously strain regional relationships and impact sustainable development way beyond the immediate area. It's a classic resource management challenge.
So, given all this, the ambition, the objections, the regulatory hurdles, where do things go from here? What's the next step?
Well, all eyes are now turning to a really important meeting. An Apex Council meeting is scheduled for July 11th, 2025.
Apex Council, that sounds high level.
It is. It means the chief ministers of both states, Andhra Pradesh and Telangana, will be sitting down together to discuss this directly. It's basically a summit aimed at resolving this.
Okay, so a face-to-face between the leaders. What can come out of that?
It could go a couple of ways. Best case scenario, they find some common ground. Maybe Andhra Pradesh offers assurances about Telangana's water share. Maybe they agree on adjustments to the project or stricter monitoring. That could potentially clear the path forward, maybe satisfy the CWC and environmental concerns eventually.
And the alternative?
The alternative is, well, deadlock. If they can't agree, tensions could rise even higher. We could see more legal challenges, potentially going to higher courts, further environmental reviews, or just long delays. Delays cost money and postpone any potential benefits. The political pressure on both leaders is immense.
Right. So let's bring this back to the people listening. What does this complex dispute over river water actually mean for you, for the millions living in Andhra Pradesh and Telangana?
It means a lot. Water security isn't some abstract policy issue. It's fundamental. It affects the food grown through agriculture, the industries that provide jobs, and just basic daily life, drinking water, sanitation.
Yeah, absolutely. And if Andhra Pradesh can manage to harness this floodwater fairly and sustainably, the potential benefits are huge, aren't they?
Undeniably, it could significantly boost farming, maybe attract new industries, create jobs, improve living standards for many people in Andhra Pradesh. The potential upside is very real.
There's always a but in these situations.
But, and this is the crucial part, it absolutely has to be done equitably. The benefits for one state can't come at the cost of denying another state and its people their fair share of water. Finding that balance between development ambition and ensuring fairness for everyone who depends on that river. That's the tightrope they have to walk. It's the real heart of the challenge. Hashtag outro.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, we see this core tension laid bare. The fundamental human need for water, a state's ambitious vision for development, and the incredibly tricky balancing act required when a vital resource crosses borders.
Exactly. And it really makes you think, doesn't it?
Right.
It leaves us with a broader question, one that goes beyond just the Godavari. In a world where essential resources like water are finite, where climate change is altering patterns and populations keep growing, how do we as societies truly balance the ambitions of individual states or nations with the collective need for fair access, long-term sustainability, and just peaceful cooperation?
That's a powerful thought. How do we manage ambition alongside equity and sustainability? It's something playing out across the globe. Definitely something to keep thinking about, this constant interplay between managing resources, fostering cooperation, and striving for progress.